Sorry, I can't see the record button. Usually it shows recording. Oh, sorry, right there. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome again to another wonderful session with Decrypting Relationships. We are a podcast platform that tries to dabble into relationships based on our experiences as individuals. And on the platform today, we have quite a few young people and Tolu and I. So as we go into it, I'll introduce them. So with me today, we have Tolu.
Hello, good to be back.
We have Korede.
Hi, everyone.
We have David.
Hello, everyone.
And not least of all, we have Lanre.
Obviously, she left the best to last.
So we have 5 of us on the panel today. And before we get started, we have a disclaimer. Like we've always said, we are not qualified people in relationship advisory, and we are just a bunch of people who are passionate to see people enjoy the fruits and the beauty of healthy relationships. So we felt we could come together and share our nuggets of experience and just put some ideas and discuss some really crucial topics that we hope will add value to our listeners. So that's what we're really about. So thanks again for joining us. So for today, our topic for discussion is the importance of our religious beliefs in relationships. So the idea is for us to see, because most of us on the platform are quite young, to see at the courtship dating stage of a relationship, how do you value your religious values? How do they come into play? What roles will your religious values play in courting somebody, in dating, before you even think of, going into a longer term relationship with them? So I'm going to throw that open. So first to David, I am going to ask, as a young, striping young man, if you were to get into what would you say that means to you in terms of your religious beliefs and the potential relationships that you might be looking to nurture?
Damn. 2 seconds. I think someone that is godly, like indoors and outdoors, because some people only show it when, I don't know, like some people can put on an act when they're with you, but when they're not with you, they'll show their other characteristics. So I feel like it's important to be yourself inside and out, and someone who has the fear of God as well.
Okay, so looking at the fact that usually there are potentially 2 scenarios whereby you can meet this person you're attracted to, either through social media or you meet them in person, maybe through a group of friends or whatever the circumstances are. How do you think, this is going to go around, we're going to talk about this all around the panel. How do you, or when do you think such a topic should be broached in terms of you meet somebody? I mean, you're not going to just go charging and say, hello, are you a Christian? It might seem a bit daunting. So how would you think that should be understood? Because I see this as one of your core values before you start looking to take things further. So how, as a young man, do you think this should be broached?
I think it should be a part of the very first stages when you get to know the girl, so that you know from the jump what you're getting into. Because for me personally, I'm a Christian, okay, but I don't know for the boys, or obviously uncle and auntie's married, but for me personally, if she's not a Christian, I don't really think that's a deal breaker for me. Do you know what I mean? I can always teach her about Christianity and the benefits of believing in God, but at the end of the day, it's down to her if she wants to. I'm not now going to force it on her if she's not a believer of God. But it says in the Bible, we shall teach people about the word of the Lord, etc., etc. So, but it's a very important topic that needs to be said in a relationship or when you're trying to get to know someone. So for me, it's probably one of the very first conversations I will have. But I don't know for the boys, but for me, it's probably one of the first conversations I will have with the girl.
Lauren, can I ask you a question?
You're gone.
Basically, what if the girl that you're talking to has all the qualities and all the values that you're looking for in a girl, but she's a different religion to you? Like, what would you do from there? How would you approach it?
What if she's like Muslim or?
Yeah, like any other religion than Christianity, but she has everything that you're looking for in a girl, all the values, everything.
I'm not trying to contradict myself still. Well, do you know, that's a tough one because that's something similar to my parents. Like, my mum was Muslim before she met my dad, and then when they got married, she converted into a Christian, and she's been a Christian ever since. But I don't know whether I could be able to, swear to change into Christianity, whatever. The only tricky part is now when, per se, we have children, and I'm going to church and she's going to somewhere like mosque. Like, I don't want that sort of situation where we're confusing the children, because Muslim and Christianity is two different beliefs, and what they teach is completely two different things. Do you understand? So I would honestly, I wouldn't know what I would do, but I think I would. I can't lie. I think I would let her go, bro.
Well, could I ask you this? Because before you realize that somebody has all the qualities you want in them, you must have known them for a while.
Yeah.
Don't you think? So that's going back to David. So before you get to the point where you've assessed this person, and from what Larry, I'm just trying to balance this out, because Larry made a comment that will be one of the first conversations he has with this person. So for you to then get to the point where you found that this person has all the qualities you ever dreamt of, wouldn't you have known them for a while? And if you hadn't, if by that time you haven't had that conversation, wouldn't you be running the risk of potentially allowing your heart to go first before you let every other quality or questions that you wanted to ask come? So David, throwing back at you, would you really wait that far before you find out whether this person shares your beliefs? Or
it's a difficult one again, but I would say it depends, because it's like, let's say you're just hanging around with the girl and you don't have any intentions of moving forward with her, like you're just friends and you just chill with the same bunch of people or something like that, and you're not really trying to get into a relationship, but then as time goes, you're actually seeing her qualities differently, if you understand. Like, you might be spending more time with her alone, or you might be talking or FaceTime or whatever, so you'll find out, like, this girl actually does this, she does this, or she thinks like this, she thinks like that. But then you just find out that she's Muslim, because as friends, I don't have any problems with anyone of any other religion as a friend. But when it comes to relationships, so you might not have that talk because you're not necessarily wanting, or you're not necessarily looking at that person as a partner. You're just looking at them from a friendship type of perception. Do you understand?
That's fair enough. Thank you. So, Korede, what have you got to say to this as a young man?
Like David said, it's tough. Like, the dynamics that can form, and like how they can form organically and stuff like that. In like a time where loads of people are feeling lonely and stuff like that, it makes it hard to like make those decisions and like have those kind of rules for yourself, like only date this kind of person or only date this kind of person. But I guess ultimately it all comes down to what you actually believe and how important that is to you. So like if it's gotten to a stage where like your beliefs are maybe compromising them, maybe compromising those beliefs is more accessible to you than compromising like a relationship that you're not necessarily sure about. I think that's like a call for some kind of like reflection on your beliefs and why you believe what you believe, etc., etc.
Okay.
So, sorry, Auntie, cool.
No, you go. You wanted to say something.
So, question to the boys. So, all right, cool. We've established that, yeah. So, going off what David asked me, so if the girl is not religious, is that a deal breaker for you lot? Like, is that where you now have cut the line and said, you know what, this can't go any further because you're not a person of my belief, like you don't believe in religion or you don't believe in Christianity? Is that a fight for you guys?
It's a tough one because again, like to say that someone doesn't believe in Christianity. So like, there's even people that are Christians that even still within the relationship, their beliefs are so different to you that it's not the dynamic that you should be going for. Well, I'm not saying you should be doing whatever. Like, it's obviously it's your choice, but it's a like a prickly dynamic. You know what I mean? So it's a tough one.
What about you, David? Is this guy sleeping? David.
I hope he's on mute.
Yeah. What was the question?
Look at this wild. Look at this child. I said, if you're so like if a girl is not religious or she doesn't believe in Christianity, is that a cut-off point for you? Is that like, okay, cool, like man can't chat to you now? Obviously,
What in a relationship?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, you know. It's a tough one. I won't lie. Oh, I don't.
Knowing how our generation is as well, do you know what I'm saying? That has a big part to play in.
Yeah, our generation's lost. I won't lie, but I don't know because
Okay.
I feel like it depends what level. Because there's some people that are 100% devoted Christians, do you know what I'm saying? But then there's people are like, oh, I'm a Christian, but I don't go to church type of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So it depends on your level of Christianity or your level of your religion and your beliefs. Because some people, they actually don't mind. They're like, yeah, like it's not that deep. It's just a religion, do you know what I'm saying? But if you're devoted, then you're going to be like, oh, no, I can't. Do you know what I'm saying? But me personally, I don't know.
But looking at your level, for the three of you, looking at your levels of devotion, what level? Because I'm hearing something very similar across board here. It's almost like there's an opportunity for a compromise. And I'm wondering, because one of you made a point earlier offline about not being unequally yoked. So if we don't have that clear demarcation as to this is how important my religious beliefs are to me in terms of my honoring God, being a practicing Christian. We're not just talking, I go to church, I live pretty on Sundays, I can do whatever I like during the week because God understands we live in a very fast world now and God needs to get with the times. If that's not your approach, then I'm suspecting there has to be a line drawn in the sand, because in my generation, if you were a Christian, you were just a Christian through and through. There was no gray area, that it was either black or white. You either went all the way in or you were not there at all. And so for you to even say you were taking anything further with anybody, you needed to make sure the foundation was right, that both of you were on the same level of belief and dedication to God. Because you can imagine the irritation. You now get this person on, boy, girl, either way, and you're a committed person. And then midweek service, you want to go for service or prayer meeting, and they're thinking, oh, we should be having date night. You're always going for prayers. You're always doing this. That's already an issue. Or Tolu, what do you think?
I was just going to say, can I chime in?
Please.
You guys have been so nice and so safe, coloring within the lines on this topic. Come on, guys.
What do you want us to say?
You guys, you're talking like we're some convent. This is like real talk, guys.
Yeah, but I think we're just talking our generation, because our generation.
No, I know.
Like me personally, I don't feel like our generation takes religion as seriously as it should be. I feel like some people only look to God when they're in trouble. Because for example, I wasn't, like, obviously I've always been a Christian in my life, but there was a certain point in my life where I wasn't close to God. Like I wouldn't like wake up and pray. I wouldn't listen to gospel. I didn't even like going to church at one point. But there's things that happen in life and you're thinking, rah, there is actually a God. So now when I wake up, I pray
Mm.
every day with my mum on the phone. There's certain days I just wake up and listen to gospel, and yeah. So I think it depends.
It's all about your
individual.
Sorry, bro.
But don't get me wrong. This is what I mean when I said we're a little bit too safe calling between the lines. Now, let me tell you this, right? So my own experience is this. Like we said earlier on, I went to uni here in the UK. Yes, I'm an older generation, aunties type of generation type thing. Married, got my own kids and everything. But when I was at uni here in the UK, as a born-again Christian, yes, my circle wasn't so much Christian, but people knew I was a Christian.
You was Christian.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when I go to a club, I went clubbing with my friends. Then, I was a bit, there was still a bit of greatness in my life. But that's the thing with Christianity. You and God, you deal with certain issues a step at a time. Okay, I went clubbing. I had drinks, had a good time. We go after girls. Whenever I go after a girl, the first thing I say to her is, girl, you are fine. I don't mention anything about my belief system. You are fine, girl. Can I buy you a drink? Can we chat? Now, this is my point. If things progress, right? And what I mean by progress is, say, we exchange numbers, maybe we talk after that, talk again a few other times, meet up for drinks. I know for a fact that in that scenario, there was a lot of pressure on what it means to progress a relationship. There's going to be intimacy at different levels, be it kissing and blah, 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 and going all the way to sex, right? Now, this is where my beliefs and my religious values need to now put a low boundary around the relationship. And I think this is what we're trying to talk about. So at what point, say, for example, she's like, look, I'm feeling you. I know you and I have chemistry. You understand? You don't even need to, I don't need to say much more. You understand, right? At that stage, I need to then say, oh, as a Christian, my values are, I cannot have sex outside of marriage. Right?
The way you've structured it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so honest with you. I will fail.
You're what?
I would fail.
No, but that's the point.
The way you've pictured everything that you've just said.
Yes.
I'm being honest with myself.
Yeah.
God knows my heart.
Yeah.
I would have failed.
And that's the reason why
religion is not even in my thought process. So that
and that's the reason why
he wants the realness. I'm gonna give it to him.
No, that's the reason why I wanted to paint this scenario. That okay, guys, how do we deal with this scenario? Is it a situation like that? You understand? Because that's a scenario that is happening. So please carry on, go on.
Yeah. So with me, I'll know in that situation, if she's as hot as Uncle's saying, and religion, I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'm even saying, God, you know my heart, you know that, God, you know me at this point, you know my true me. So me, in this point of time, religion is not in my mind. It's just about, I'm thinking of, okay, she's feeling my vibe like this. Where can I actually take this? If we have sex, if it happens, it happens. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then it's like when you painted that picture, it's also a thing of, okay, but where are you actually in your spiritual journey at that time as well?
Precisely.
You're asking me that question when I was about 16 to 18. I'm not even thinking.
But in quickly.
Yeah, go on.
I feel like along with to do with that religion thing, because sex and religion kind of go alongside. So I think back in the day, sex was seen as something that you only do when you're married. But in my generation, sex has been so normalized that it's not even seen as, oh, we're doing wrong. It's just, if it happens type of thing, as Larry said. So I feel like it depends, because sex right now, or for my generation, is not seen as forbidden type of thing.
Yeah. And
it's just seen as so normal.
That's my point, David. And that's why what I mentioned about the pressure, You know, everything is sexualized, the TV series, the music.
Yep.
So it's constantly drumming into your
Cardi B.
consciousness. You know, when you think about soul music, it's about the touch, the kiss, there's all that kind of stuff, how she looks. No, let's not even get into like hip hop videos and stuff like that, because they just promote that kind of thing. So, but the point I'm trying to make is this: we as individuals, because of the relationship we have with our gods, we need to make sure that we have something established, right? Now, when I was growing up, eventually, one of the ways that we combated this thing was that, look, if you're going to go clubbing, have some kind of accountability. Who are you accountable to that holds the same values and the same belief system as you? Christians, Bible believing Christians. You understand? If you belong to a small, now I'm not getting all into like live groups or cell groups, or even that could be your accountability group, but it comes with a lot of trust, openness, and being vulnerable, and an understanding and establishing that sex outside of marriage offends God. And if we're in a relationship with God, intimate, close relationship with God, we don't want to offend him, And so once as individuals, we can establish that in our hearts, then when we go out there and we begin to engage, and trust me, like I said, once it's established in our hearts, we have this connection with God, we go out, we meet this girl, and these things happen. Sparks fly. You're in a party, it doesn't have to be the club, and it could be in a party, and you see this, there's this connection, and sparks begin to fly. Before you know it, we're emotional beings. But then, do we have an accountability mechanism to make sure that, our defenses don't get compromised? Because we could say one thing that, I'm going to ask her, I'm a believer, you're a believer, and if not, But sometimes even that defense system mechanism can get compromised because of the reality of the issue. So I think the point I'm just trying to make is this: how do we, and going back to what David said as well, and what everybody's saying is that yes, we have religious beliefs, and it's not so much religious; it's more our connection to our Creator and what He likes and what He doesn't like. It's like any other relationship. You know that person, you know what they like, but I guess this is even a deeper relationship because He's the Creator and He dictates how we live our lives. You understand? So I think that's what I want to throw in there. That what are the mechanisms we have, knowing that we have one relationship with God, and then we have other relationships coming in that is outside of that. That we need to make sure that there is alignment. Auntie, I hope that was
and I was just going to add, because if compromises are being made in terms of, okay, maybe there's some things that we can do and get away with, where exactly do you then stand as being a true Christian who is true to their beliefs and you're actually practicing? Because you then start to wonder what really differentiates those compromises that you tend to make because they work for you, from someone who's just not even into being a Christian, who just does whatever the society permits. And I think that's where the danger of actually weighing what exactly we see as important to us as Christians. Because when you're going to give your testimony or share whatever, you have to have something that actually shows that you are holding fast to those beliefs. You're not just someone who wavers. Whatever happens today with no experimenting with drugs. Oh, well, everybody's fine. Let's try little, God sees my heart. Oh, they're having, an orgy. Let's participate because, I'm in the flow. So we really need to know what exactly it is that we are saying when we say we are Christians. And I think that is really where we need to, without being polite about it, we really need to have like a clear-cut demarcation between you declaring you're a Christian and someone who just doesn't even entertain that notion.
Can I just say this very quickly? Because Larry said something very, very, very important. So let me paint this very quick scenario. I'm a Christian, right? I am, say, between 18 and 20, 28, 25, 20, whatever, between 18 to 30. If I've decided that my belief system is based on the Christian values, and I'm clear what those values are, and I want to commit to those values, then what I need to do then is listen. if I need to go to a nightclub, for example, and you could argue Christians should they go to nightclubs or not? If you ask me, I don't see anything wrong with going to a nightclub as long as you are prepared. you know what the dangers are. You've done maybe a risk assessment for your soul. Does that make sense? So if you as an individual, you've committed to the Christian values and you know what the risks are when you expose yourself to XYZ, or you take God with you. I've been to clubs where I'm praying, Lord, there is so much temptation around me. I need your help. But I know I want to be here. Lord, please help me. Now, that for me, that was being authentic with God. You understand? And I found it's in scenarios like that, I just find out that I'm just thinking, maybe I should do less of this clubbing thing. You understand? But it's just about being authentic. So I think the point I'm just trying to make is this. If what I discovered was once I established what my values were, I then had to make sure that I had some defense mechanisms. I've met when I was younger, of course, before I was married. Disclaimer. Been out clubbing, seen this fine girl, and we begin to chat and everything. And I've thrown it to her. I said, and we're talking. Oh, by the way, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. And just throw it out there. That's a defense mechanism already. You understand? And then just to see her reaction. She might just laugh or might make a joke about it, but I'm serious. So those are the kind of things that I did. I made sure I established what my value system was, and I had my defense mechanism as well.
And Tolu, can I challenge you on that? What if you met the girl and she told, "Oh, I'm a Christian too"? Well,
yeah,
it's okay.
that.
I'm feeling you right now. What do you say? You're throwing it out there. She's throwing it back at you. Though we're both Christians, and we found ourselves at the nightclub. Yeah. So, Mr. God feels us. He sees our hearts. He knows where we're. So what do you say?
No, that happens. Then
how do you handle that? Then
it goes on to what? Do we want to exchange numbers? Do we want to meet up after this? You understand? Now, I want to say this, and this is going to be, and I'm not being judgmental or condemning anybody, but it's the truth. I know Christian believers who don't go to nightclub. They meet in church, but they still do these things that we're talking about, having sex outside of marriage. So it's not so much about where you meet, it's about being real and authentic about the practices outside of, everybody's sort of like public view. Does that make sense? So I met a girl in the nightclub. I tell her I'm a Christian. She tells me she's a Christian. Cool. We have a good time. We talk and exchange numbers, whatever. But then what happens behind closed doors? Because then that's going to be me, her, and God. They're going to be witnesses. Do you understand? So
that's scary.
But it's about being authentic with oneself. Remember, I think
it's also learning.
Auntie said to yourself, be true. So please carry on.
Yeah, so I want to say, I think it's also you doing a self-assessment of how much risk you're willing to take. Each person must know the limit on how much temptation can I really fob off. But if you keep putting yourself in harm's way, it's going to get to a time where your defense mechanism will break down, because you can't be meeting girls who are feeling you every night and they're thinking, "Oh God, you see my heart." I think you should just run away, avoid such scenarios so that no one feels you to the point where you think, "Oh, you know what? I have held out for so long." And so, each person, like, in as much as you're being authentic, you also need to be reasonable in what you expose yourselves to.
And I think that's what I meant by doing a risk assessment internally. You understand? And I use a sort of like a formal description by saying risk assessment, but it's just like process it in your mind. Are you really going to put yourself in this scenario?
And be honest about it, because
exactly.
I'll find out when I get there.
sometimes you might be, everything inside of me just wants to go clubbing tonight, please, Yeah, so I mean, those are my thoughts, and I think,
and like you rightly said, I don't think, because it looks like if anyone, people listening to this might think it's just a club thing. I know you said it earlier, Tolu, but just to disabuse the notion of clubbing, even though I'm not a clubbing person, that even if you're in your home and you're not, because that's why people say they have dating partners, so to speak, in the sense that people who are, like you said earlier, accountable to. I know younger couples who, when they were dating, always had a second set of couples, so that they're always doing like double dates, so that they knew that whatever happened, whatever temptations were lurking in the background, with four of them there, it's going to be difficult for you to say, let's get it on, or whatever it is you want to do. So I think it's also a matter, because you could be in your house, a person could come visiting in your house, and the temptation is so massive. So it doesn't have to be the club, it doesn't have to be anywhere. It's just the fact that you're two people who have chemistry, and that is the natural thing that you tend to want to do. I courted, and I knew how difficult it was for us to be together and say we were doing nothing, even in the comfort of our homes.
Can I just say this as well? Because I think as we're saying all this, uni life, that stage has to be the most difficult stage regarding what we're talking about, right? Because you are 18 to whatever, you are in halls of residence, you've got all these young people around you. Universities are notorious for throwing wild parties of all kinds, you understand? So as a believer, you really need, to have it, I don't know, locked in your heart that these are the boundaries, But I think the fear is, David hit the nail on the head. Society doesn't see sex outside of marriage as a taboo, right? So it has to become an individual choice or decision to say, these are my values, I'm going to stick by them. And I think that is where I'm going to summarize my own thoughts.
I also think, just to kind of stress that, because your religious values are not only violated by having sex outside of marriage. That just seems to be the one thing that everybody's, oh, well, they're having sex, so they must be doing the most unforgivable thing that defies the will of God. There's so many other areas where we err that are really against God's heart in terms of our beliefs as Christians. And I think it's just you being grounded in not to understand what the heart of God is saying. Because even in your treatment of each other, there is the fear of God that has to go into that. The respect that you accord each other, the respect that you accord people around you, the heart that you have towards people around you, the kind of comments that you pass, and the kind of loose conversations that you have. Because even like we know, the Bible says evil communication corrupts, your heart. So you need to be cognizant of everything. That is not just, in as much as we've kind of talked about sex so much, kindness is not even something the society promotes anymore. It's like, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and that is okay. Nobody, the notion of being kind to one another or being loving towards one another, those are not things that the society really promotes anymore. And those are really the heart of God. So I think beyond the sex, which is the most physical and the most almost like, oh, if you do that, then you've really committed the most, the most dreadful sin. It goes beyond that. And I think this is where we need to really go home and do our own homework and really understand what we profess when we say we're Christians. It's not just that, because you might not be having sex and have a more wicked heart than someone who's having sex. And because God is love, God is really like into you showing love, even towards the person you're courting. Because some people are mean in a relationship, they're very mean towards each other, but they still say they're Christians. And it's all those little details that I see as really solidifying your profession as, I'm a Christian, and people look at you and think, oh, you're different in the way you treat people. You're respectful towards other people. You're very kind-hearted, which is rare. So when you tell someone they're kind, they almost look at you as, is that okay? Is it okay for me to be kind? Because the society has lost the sense of what all these things mean. And that is really where I'm going to put it, that relationship goes beyond the physical attraction. It's about your heart. It's about your kindness towards the person you're in this relationship and people outside of that. And yeah, so I don't know what you guys have to say to that, but is it really just about sex, or is it just about your general way of life?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, in the sense that we fixate on certain maybe sins or certain aspects of our religion rather than like God or Christ himself. And like in that, a lot of these things become a lot clearer and more vivid. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay,
Larry,
but sorry, quickly
yeah,
though,
sorry.
but in the context of today's topic, religious values and relationship, I think sex is one of the biggest elephants in the room. You understand? How do you deal? Because society is highly sexualized. You understand? But you're right. Sex isn't the be all and end all. It's not the deal breaker with our religious values. There are other aspects as well. But I think the biggest threat, to our beliefs in relationship has to do with sex. I think it is because
I understand that, but the point I was making is you have people who don't have sex, but they are very abusive. They are very abusive towards their partners. How do you rate that? And they say, we are keeping the law of no sex, but they are very, very abusive.
I agree with that.
If that isn't put out there to say you've been abusive towards your partner, God doesn't rate things as, this is a grade 10 sin, this is a grade 1 sin. A sin is a sin. Mm-hmm. If you're not showing love and kindness towards the people that are in your life, you're actually violating the law of God. So it's not just saying sex is rated size 10, whatever. So that's what I'm trying to say.
I think the point I'm trying to make is the topic is how is your religious beliefs affected in your relationship, especially like dating. So, when you're, say, for example, you're dating someone, it's like the phase, that's like the early stage where there is a lot of high energy. There's a lot of lovey-dovey. There's hardly going to be at that stage, people beating each other up.
No. I beg to differ. There's a lot of emotional abuse at that stage of the relationship.
Typically, though, 9 out of 10 times is what I mean. But anyway, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I 1,000,000% agree. But I'm just trying to say, look, if we paint the scenario, this is the situation. But I was just coming from sort of like on my own perspective. That's fine. But I agree with you 1,000,000%.
Okay, I think for today we are running out of time. And I hope we have been able to put some ideas out there that'll get people thinking and actually doing a proper assessment of what they mean or when they claim that they are Christians and they are in relationships and they're trying to do an assessment of their behavior and the way they portray or they come across to people and to the person they're in a relationship with. So we hope that we have been able to challenge everybody's thought process. For those who have been caught up in some of this thing, this is not a matter of condemnation. It's just bringing some things to light that people probably need to start pondering on, in case you were not even aware that this were a big deal per se, because the society has so liberalized things and everything is acceptable and everything is okay, that sometimes the line between being God-fearing and being acceptable in society is so blurred that we are not even aware. And this is just to provoke those thought processes to say, when I say I'm a Christian, am I actually living in accordance with what the law of God says? And this is what this has been about. So please, we haven't had this conversation to condemn anyone other than to get us into a healthier and a better headspace whereby we are consciously living our lives to honor God in our relationships. So that is my rounding up comment. So guys, what would you like to say just to round this up for today?
Stay true to yourself and always put God first in anything you're going through, and just, remain humble.
Thank you. Korede?
Yeah, stay true to yourself. I think staying true to like what you believe and who you want to be, rather than like conforming, is a very nice place to leave that.
And David?
Yeah, what Larry and Korede say, just
be true to yourself, and do things through the willingness of your heart, and always put God first in whatever you do.
Thank you. And finally, Tolu.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't, add to that. It was well put together. Stay true to yourself. Know who you are. Those values are precisely that. Values are there to keep us from making a train wreck of our lives, and that's why they're there. So lock them deep in your heart, guard them, protect yourself in relationships, and just be real.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for today. It's been a wonderful and very challenging and enlightening time. I have been challenged in my thought process, even though I'm an older person, but at least I have a clear understanding of what's going on, and, hopefully help my younger children to actually educate them too on relationships and remembering who they are first before God, before anything else. So thanks again for listening. And until next time, have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
We're still recording.